What's your opinion of the schedule? What do you take away from the schedule being released on Wednesday? What's your takeaway?
Well, I guess the first thing is the league doesn't care anymore about putting teams on the road 3 weeks in a row or playing teams in the middle of the week. I mean, it feels like the gloves are off now. That's my main takeaway. And I know you've, obviously spent a lot of airtime talking about the predicament the Jets are in, and having to go to San Francisco for the opener. I think there's like the cruel storyline twist there of having to play Monday night of week one, and then coming back and playing on the road again in week two. That's a tough break when you think about the west to east travel. You're not going to be getting back until at some point on Tuesday morning if you're the Jets. So they're not the only ones though. I mean, the Chiefs, same thing. Like if you look at their schedule down the stretch, it's the Wednesday, it's, playing on Black Friday. It's, all of these games that are jammed into these different spots. And it's gonna be really interesting to see what it does to the quality of play down the stretch. Because, you do hear players and having to, especially the older guys, having to deal with coming off of a short week and how that can take a little while to get your feet back underneath you after playing, so many games and in such a truncated amount of time. Well, consider this, those four teams that are playing on Christmas Day. It's the Texans, the Steelers, and obviously the Ravens and Chiefs playing on Christmas Day for the second straight year. They're going to be pulling a Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday turn in weeks 15, 16, and 17. So this isn't in the middle of the season with, a bunch of time to recover from it. I just think it's going to be fascinating to see how all of that plays out and what sort of effect that might have on the quality of play as we get down the stretch. Because, again, clearly the NFL has shown here that when it comes to, treating everyone with kid gloves, with these sorts of things, those gloves are now off.
Yeah, Tuesday's the only day of the week the Chiefs don't play a game on in 2024. And if they win on 5 of those days of the week, they'll be the first team in the history of the NFL to win on 5 different days of a week in a single season. That's never happened before. The last team to play on 6 days of a week in a season were the 1927 New York Yankees, which is the actual name of an actual team. And of all times to be called the New York Yankees, 1927 is one that kind of leaps out at you. So that's, and you mentioned the Jets, though, too. They put them on national television, 7 standalone games when you include the London game. And I'm assuming that means that you can't flex into their games later on in the season. And flexing is going to be difficult anyway because, of what you pointed out. There's going to be 4 teams playing a Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday. There's just a lot going on. But I'm assuming if there's a partner in Netflix saying, hey, we'll give you $150 million for 2 football games, the answer is going to be yes, since the players do get a cut of that, Yeah,
and I do think part of this is just the demand for football. And look, I think part of it's probably the league looking at it and saying, like last year, we lost all of these quarterbacks, right? And people have complained about the quality of play for the midweek games forever, but it's had no effect on the ratings. You know what I mean? Like, so if it's not affecting whether you and I sit down on the couch or even the casual fan sits down on the couch and watches the game, well, then what's stopping them from making more money, And, I think that's all a part of it. I also think a piece of this is just, how valuable these rights have become. And it's interesting, Rich, like if you go back and you look over the years, there was a point where one package would cost way more than the other package, right? So let's just say, just to throw dollar figures out there, let's say I spent $25 for the Sunday night package. I spent $20 for the Sunday afternoon packages. I spent $15 for the Monday night package. I spent $10 for the Thursday night package. Well, if I have the Thursday night package and I spent $10, I can't complain about the guy who spent $25 getting much better games, right? But when those numbers get a lot closer, and now maybe it's $22 versus $25, now all of a sudden the guy who's got the Thursday night package or the Monday night package has a real beef. And so I think so much of this comes down to those economics, and I hope people's eyes aren't glazing over when I explain it that way. But I think that's part of what it is, if you're asking Amazon to pay what it paid for Thursday night, if you're asking ESPN, ABC, Disney to pay for Monday night what it paid for Monday night, Well, you can't give them second and third tier games anymore. You have to give them something better than that. It's part of the reason why ESPN's getting a Super Bowl now, so all of this, I think, is part of the business of the sport, and how the rights fees have escalated, not just for the premier packages, but for packages across the board.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.